Now this is a bit of a strange one. I spotted this on eBay and it was listed as a child's toy pop gun. No maker's name or anything. But I recognised it as a daisy immediately, but not one that I'd ever seen before. And I was very much intrigued by this. And, there's a lot of strange things about it. But anyway, I couldn't identify it. So I sent some pictures to the Daisy Man, Mr. Shane Bruce of Resto Mod Daisy YouTube channel fame. And in short order, he was able to identify this. Now what this is, it's quite a long name. What this is a Daisy Cheyenne Ricochet sound saddle rifle. And it's another Daisy gun that doesn't actually shoot anything, but it does make a noise. And it's quite unusual. But the thing was that what was really interesting about this is I'd never seen these before, and apparently, you know, Shane knew about these. There's another model Ricochet rifle. I think it's the 660 Daisy as well, but he'd not seen one of these Cheyennes. So I think they're, you know, quite rare. I'll flip it around so you can have a look at the other side, and then we'll have a close look at it and go down its length. So there you've got the other side. Now I'll have a close look at it and scan down the length. Now the buttstock is plastic, and as you can see, it's got some really nice mouldings on it. Nice horse's head on this side and a buffalo, I think, head on the other side. And we'll just scan down. Now this is interesting. It has a 1-star gold lever. Now I've not seen that. I've seen 3-star levers. I've got a Daisy with a 3-star lever, but never a 1-star lever. It's also got these stamped 4 stars on the part of the receiver where the lever pivots. I'd not seen that before either. And moving on, we come to the metal 4-stock. I've not seen a Daisy with a metal 4-stock before. And again, apparently there are others, but they are unusual. And the metal 4-stock is, I think, part of the whole Ricochet sound mechanism, which we'll get to in a minute. This one is in very good condition. There's very little damage to it at all, and it works. I think, as you saw back there, it has a hammer on it. That doesn't do anything, it's just for decoration. I'll flip it over and we can have a look at the other side. Yeah, I think that's a buffalo head on this side of the stock. Very, very nice mouldings, really good. Again, the gold 1-star lever and the cosmetic hammer. Steel trigger, or folded tinplate trigger. Again, the 4 stars on the part of the receiver that holds the lever pivot. There you go. Now here's the underside of the metal 4-stock, which has 6 holes in it. This is to allow the sound to come out, which I will demonstrate in a minute. I'll cock the gun and fire it so you can see what happens. But this is where it gets a little bit more strange. On the American made Daisies that have this Ricochet sound module, there is a central screw here which holds this 4-stock on. This one doesn't have one. It does have a barrel band, but it doesn't have the screw. So yeah, that's an anomaly. Also, I cannot find any markings on this. There's no roll stamp. Daisies nearly always have a roll stamp. There's nothing to tell you what the gun is. And then there's this British made etching just above the trigger, which leads me to believe that this might be one of the Daisy toy guns that was made in Scotland, because for a short period of time, I think around about the 1960s, 70s, some Daisy BB guns were made up in Scotland. So this could well be one of those. So I'll cock the gun now and fire it. And I'm going to hold the mic really close to the gun. I'll do it once more. Now, as you probably gathered, the ricochet sound on this particular gun is very quiet. So, and it really doesn't make much of a bang or pop when it goes off. So I think either the spring is very weak, it could be the original spring, or there's something else going on in there. I'm going to have a go at see if I can take this apart. But as I said, there is no screw holding this on. There is this barrel band, but I'm not sure what secures it elsewhere. So I am going to have a go at taking it apart. But anyway, just a quick look so you can see this, because it is a rather interesting gun from my perspective. I love daisies, and all of them, they're all, in my opinion, they're just great. So yeah, Daisy Cheyenne Ricochet Sound saddle rifle. So on this particular gun, it appears that the forestock just clips around the barrel. It's just a spring type fit. Once you remove the barrel band, it hooks under here. At this end there is a little tab. You'll see that on the end there. It hooks under there, and that's it really. Holds it together, which is great because it now allows us to see the mechanism that operates through the ricochet system. So I'll just close in on that so you can have a look at it. There you go, and that is it. You can see the spring underneath the cogwheel, and I'll move the angle so you can see exactly what's going on. So what we have here is, this is a metal cogwheel. There is this thin sprung little bit of wire here which presses against this here. Now this here is like a mylar or thin plastic skin that is over the top of this cap, which fits over this. This is just an empty open cylinder, and the whole thing is held in place with this screw. So effectively this is like a drum. This is a sounding drum, so that when you spin the wheel, it makes that noise. Now obviously over the years the bit of this spring arm here that's been resting, it has rested against the same drum area of the drum, and it's put a little dent in it. So I've just bent it very slightly, so it's now resting on a different part of the drum, and it's definitely louder. So that's why I think it was probably so quiet. But you can see how it works. And obviously what happens is, when the gun is cocked, there's a little tab on the spring that is compressed, and as the spring fires, it whizzes the tab whizzes the gear wheel round, and a bit like a rack and pinion effect, and that's what makes the ricochet sound. All very clever. Well, I thought we'd give it another go. Now I've got it back together after having a fiddle with the sound maker to see whether it's any louder. Not really sure. Let's try again. Nah, maybe not. It sounded louder with the forestock off, didn't it? Well, the Daisy Cheyenne has been stripped down to its component parts. I actually took it completely apart, even took the spring out, even made myself a Mark I Daisy spring compressor, which I'm obviously going to need in the future, and if I want to take any other Daisies apart. Now the reason I did this was because although it worked, the Cheyenne worked when I got it, and it's in very good condition, it was very weak. The spring was very weak, so I thought, well, I'll take it apart and see whether there's anything we can do about that. Unfortunately, been in conversation with Shane Bruce over on Rest Mod Daisy about these, and not just the Cheyenne, there were a couple of others. I think it was the 660, which was a Ricochet model. They use a much longer spring. The main spring on these is much longer than it is on, say, a Red Rider, the standard Daisy springs. This has got about 10 more coils on it than a standard Daisy spring. So I think getting a replacement spring for it will be like nigh on impossible. However, I don't know whether you can see it, but that's where that hole there is where the spring retaining pin goes in. So what I thought I'd do is I'll make up a short sleeve that goes over this tube to put some pre-tension on the spring, and then we'll put it back together and see whether it's any better. That's about the only thing I can think of to do, really. This one, just like the old trusty training rifle, it has another spring in the end of the muzzle, a short one, which operates a valve which opens when the thing fires and lets any excess oil out to give you that puff of smoke. This is so weak that that's not opening. when this fires, because it's not creating enough pressure of air to actually operate the valve that's in the front of this. So the seal looks okay. This is actually, it's not hard, this is still rubbery, so hopefully that's the seal was okay. But yeah, I'm going to machine up a collar for this, put that on, and then we'll put it back together and see what it's like. Well, several days later, and many scratches on my hands, after having had this gun apart and put back together well over half a dozen times, it's finally done, and now it works properly. This Daisy rifle is supposed to do 3 things when you fire it. It's supposed to make a bang. You're supposed to get a little puff of smoke out the end of the gun. It's supposed to make the ricochet noise. Well, when I first got it, it was definitely making the ricochet noise, although it wasn't very loud and it didn't sort of last very long. But there was definitely no bang, and it wasn't making any puff of smoke out of the muzzle. So basically, as you saw when I stripped it down, I mentioned that there is another spring in the muzzle which holds a valve closed. That obviously was an opening, because there was no noise coming out of it, and there was obviously definitely no puff of smoke. So that had to be fixed. And basically what I discovered was, and I didn't realise it at the time, but when I took the gun apart, on these particular rifles, the mainspring has a double compression on it effectively, because the mainspring is sandwiched between 2 tubes. I'll put a link to the video that Shane Bruce did over on Resto Mod Daisy when he stripped down his 660, because that has exactly the same mechanism, and he explains it much better than I can. Anyway, the point is that the secondary compression is when you put the spring and tubes into the gun, it's held in place by this rear sight tang, which is will press up against this pin here, and that holds the spring and compression. So you compress it slightly, that allows you to pull that out, and then you can take the tube assembly out. However, on mine, when I did that, the little bit of metal which operates the whiz wheel, which creates the ricochet sound, fell out. Now, if that had been located in the spring correctly, it's impossible for it to fall out when you just take the spring and tubes out of the gun, because the primary compression, which is the 2 tubes pushed together and pinned, holds that bit of metal in place. So it obviously wasn't in the right place. But thanks to Shane's video, I know where it's supposed to go in the spring. So I was, after a lot of fiddling around, I was actually able to put it back in the spring where it goes. I did try making up a sleeve to give the spring a bit more compression, but it basically produced too much compression, and I couldn't compress it enough to get this back in. So it's back to standard. There's no pre-compression on the spring. What I did do is flood this front part of the barrel with some silicone oil and left it standing on its barrel for a couple of days, and in the hope that that would free up the valve that is in here. And it did. Amazingly, it now works. It's not great. I still think the spring is a little bit underpowered, but we'll fire it and you can see. I don't know whether it will pick up, whether the camera will pick up the little puff of smoke that comes out of the gun, but you should certainly hear it. And I'll put the microphone near where the ricochet thing is. Again, I don't know whether you saw that, but there was very definitely smoke coming out of the end of the gun. It's not a loud bang. I'll do it again. Yeah, it could be louder, but there you go. Yeah. I'm quite pleased with it now. It's about as best I think that I'm going to get it, and as I said, it does actually do what it's supposed to do, so I think we're done with this one. Anyway, I hope you found it interesting. I mean, the insides of this is quite fascinating in my opinion. It's a lot more complicated than your standard Daisy BB rifle. Interested in the mechanism and everything. So, as always, hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. Cheers.